All right.
All right, shall we get started?
Yeah, well, first of all, Kim, who are you?
I am the community lead at Voiceflow, so you've probably seen me lurking around in Discord at everyone. I also do things like events like these and run our agency program. But I'll pass it over to our two, Jacqueline and Nico.
Our two Jacqueline and Nico.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, I'm Jacqueline. I lead developer relations here at Voiceflow. So that means if you're a developer or you're just building on Voiceflow, my job is to make sure you've got all the resources you need to have a great time. That means docs, videos, events like this one, and more. And we're joined today by someone who many of you will hopefully already know, but if you don't, Nico, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. So I'm the other half of the two Jacqueline and Nico. I'm Nico, product advocate at Voiceflow. Main goal for me is to find solution to your problems, or help you with your agent, whatever, as well as proof test the new features and think about what we can add to the tool to make your agent even more smarter or exceptional. That's me.
Yeah, you've ever seen anything super cool out there where it's just this was huge complex build, then Nico was probably involved in it at some point.
Yes, and you'll be seeing a bit of it today as well, so it's very exciting. Stay tuned.
Oh yeah. So Kim, what's coming up today?
Yeah, so we're going on a little expedition today, very much mountain hiking themed, but here's the legend and here are all the different checkpoints that we're hitting on the map. We'll go through a quick run through of Voiceflow tools as well as Zendesk and Voiceflow, what you can build, why Voiceflow is a good solution and platform to choose if you are using Zendesk already. And then we'll share a bit more of the basics of how to set up Zendesk and Voiceflow using our new MCP integration. And then a little bit more advanced triggering actions, a demo there by Jacqueline. In between, we're going to have a quick Q&A session. So if you have any questions, use the Q&A tab or pop them in chat. We love to queue them up and answer them live. And then we'll move it over to Nico, where he'll share how he's built Tiko, the impact of Tiko, and just the origin story. At the end, we'll wrap up with, a quick Q&A and a wrap up.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on here. We've already had a couple of questions. This is recorded. Don't worry, you will get an email afterwards if you're watching live with the recording.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's jump into tools. Sure. So we launched tools earlier this year. If you don't know what tools are, they're things that let you do things like tools in the real world. So functions have been around on Voiceflow for a while. They're a tool. API calling, again, that's been around on Voiceflow for a while. They're a tool as well, but you can do them with different things. Agent Step lets you call these directly using AI, which is super cool. But the new tool that we launched earlier this year was integrations. So you might be like, hey, Jacqueline, you could already integrate with stuff with functions. You could build a Zendesk function and do things with it. And that's true. But now you don't have to. Now you can just go and connect to our native tools, and there is so many happening. Kim, there's a lot of tools coming, isn't there?
Yes, there are a lot of tool comings, and let us know in the chat if there's specific tools that you'd like to see us prioritize. But we have a lot on deck already, and specifically with Zendesk, you can see there's a lot of different things you can do natively just from our MCP integration.
Yeah, if you just want to be able to create a ticket or update a ticket, or to be honest, do most things you're going to do day to day, a tool can do it for you. Coming soon, we've got Shopify, Google Sheets, Make.com, Gmail, and so many more. So that's going to let you go and connect your AI agent using the agent step into any of these platforms, and then you can perform any action. And today we're talking, of course, about the actions you can do in Zendesk.
That's right. So most commonly, we see folks build typically like a chatbot where you send a ticket to Zendesk. And so that's what you can pretty much easily set up in honestly minutes with our new MCP. So we'll walk through an example of that and how you can get started if you're just looking for a more basic use case. But in our more deeper integration, we'll be using Zendesk webhooks. And so Nico will walk through this and how we use it for Tiko. So for instance, imagine someone's writing a ticket to your support email. It will automatically trigger a Voiceflow agent, which is pretty cool and a lot more of a native experience.
Yeah, if anyone wondering, yes, it's called Tiko because it was made partially by Nico.
Yeah.
We're climbing a mountain, right?
Yes, we are climbing a mountain, and we wanted to break this session into digestible bits and pieces. So starting off at Basecamp, which is a little bit of a beginner and intro taste into using our Zendesk MCP. So kind of a 101. At our midpoint, we'll share how you can actually trigger actions using Zendesk webhooks. And then at the end at Summit, which is ideally where we'll all end up today, is building Tiko. So understanding how to build a more advanced use case and also sharing our own results of Tiko and using it internally.
Yeah, 100%. So we're going to get started. There's questions in chat already, but make sure you put them in the Q&A tab because we are going to come back to them. Don't you worry. So let's start with Zendesk MCP 101. And I'm going to prove how easy it is to go and build with MCP by doing this live. Like, I'm not going to try and pretend with a pre-recorded video or anything that it's super, super simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right now, open Voiceflow, and I'm going to connect Zendesk from scratch to a Voiceflow agent. In fact, I haven't even created the agent yet. So let's give this a try. We're going to go to the Voiceflow creator. We're going to create a new project. We'll use a customer support template. Oh, there's the event we're running. And I'm going to enter a project name. I'll just call it hello. Awesome. And once I created an agent, this will give me an agent step, which I can use. And all I'm going to do is two things. First of all, I'm going to connect my Zendesk tool. And for this super simple demo, all I'm going to do is tell our agent, whenever it does something like resolves a question or collects a question, just to go and always create a ticket. Of course, you don't have to do it every single time. You can say in certain situations, you should create a ticket. For example, if you can't answer a question using what's in your knowledge base. So let's go and add the tool to create a ticket. You'll notice I need to connect to my Zendesk instance. You don't use Zendesk, of course. It's a customer support platform. So I'm going to enter my Zendesk instance URL. It's voiceflow.zendesk.com. And then once I've entered it, all I got to do is just go through this authentication flow. There we go. If you've never connected to Voiceflow before, you would just have to press accept. You do need admin access on the Zendesk instance for this to work, so just a heads up. And that's literally it. We are now connected to Zendesk, and our agent, you can see here on tools, has the ability to create tickets.
That was like 30 seconds?
Yeah, it was like so quick and easy.
Wow.
The only other thing we have to do is modify our prompt. Now I could go through and manually modify our prompts to go and create tickets in certain situations. If you want full control and flexibility, I would probably recommend doing that. But if you just want to try this out, just press this lightning bolt icon and just tell the agent always create a ticket whenever the user asks a question. And then edit. And now we get this really nice animation. So we're just going to, wait a second, it's going to go through. It's going to make any changes. It's also going to fix some of our spelling and grammar mistakes. And in just a second, once it has finished editing, we will be able to accept those changes. And if I scroll down here, you'll see it's going to start with ticket creation. Always create a ticket based on when the user asks a question. Keep the user informed about the ticket creation process. For example, I'm creating a ticket for our records. Now, of course, again, you can change how this talks. You can change how verbose it is. Showing you how easy it is to get started. So we're nearly at the bottom. Here we go. Wow, that's it's like dancing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite satisfying.
It is really satisfying. And once it is ready, we'll go and accept those changes. And that is literally it. That's all you gotta do to try it out. It's great. You can even use the Zendesk free trial if this is completely new to you. So don't feel like you have to go and like get a paid Zendesk account if you're like an agency and just want to play around with this.
Yeah,
you can just use a trial. And here we go. We are all finished. I'm going to accept that change. And now let's try out our agent. So I'm going to test our agent. And it's going to say, hey, like, how can I help? And I'm just going to say, hey, my Tamagotchi won't turn on. This makes me sad. And our agent's going to think, anyone else have a Tamagotchi to do that? Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Our agent understands it's frustrating and how sad it is. So it's actually a representative for Acme Solutions, so can't really help us. But it's going to create a ticket anyway. Perfect.
Great.
So I'll give it my name's Jacqueline, and my email is jacqueline.begin@voiceflow.com. Awesome, it's creating a ticket. There we go.
Is that easy?
Yeah, behind the scenes, it's thinking, and in just a second. Perfect. I've created ticket number 63 for you, but also go and contact Bandai because they make Tamagotchis.
True. That's a good call out.
Yeah, also.
See if it pulled up on Zendesk.
Yeah, let's go refresh Zendesk. It's the moment of truth. And here we go. Tamagotchi device not turning on. And here we go. It's just created a summary. Customer reports that a Tamagotchi device will not turn on, which is causing them distress. I'm pretty distressed.
Yeah.
So there you go. And that is how simple it is to get started. And if I just kind of go back here, you'll see all we actually needed was Voiceflow and Zendesk.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So if any of you are already using Zendesk, this is probably an easy connect.
Yeah. Super, super quick. Super easy.
Like almost too quick.
Yeah.
Almost too smooth. Sweet. All right. Well, why don't we go to Midpoint? Let's crank up the heat here.
Awesome. So you've built using Zendesk for the first time, you've tried it out, you've experimented, and you know for sure your agent can actually do things. But rather than asking questions about Tamagotchis and all that kind of stuff, what if your agent actually could help out with useful things? I think when we talk about AI customer support agents, a lot of people are like, it's going to answer some questions. But like, we have customer support here at Voiceflow. They don't just answer questions, right, Kim?
No, they definitely don't. Yeah, there's quite a few things that go into it. There's probably like multiple replies. Yeah. We also use emails, tools. So it's definitely a lot more complex.
Yeah, and those support agents, the people, they'll go and like try and solve problems. They'll go and try and work out the cause of issues. They'll go and do actions. For example, if someone asks to be refunded, well, they have to then go and process the refund, right?
Yeah.
So I built us a really simple little demo here. And this is a Zendesk customer support agent. It's a little SaaS company. But what I'm doing here is a little bit different to what we saw earlier. So let me show you my Airtable. I'm going to open Airtable. And in here, we just have a database. And there's different tiers. Imagine this is like a SQL database for a SaaS company. I can say I have free trial days remaining and I've not extended my trial yet. Let's do that. So these are all of my users of my app. And when I go to my agent and I test it out, okay, it's going to ask me for my email. If I say I am Kim, which I'm not very good at that disguise, but I'm going to say I'm Kim. Well, Kim's not in that database. It's going to say, couldn't find a user with that email. So we've not even got to the Zendesk bit yet. We're using a function to look up the user in Airtable, right? So remember, we're building agents. We want to know who our users are. But what if I am me? Okay, I'm going to say I am Clinton.Biggin at voiceflow.com. Now that user is in our database. That'll get us past this first round of authentication. So this is just a silly little example, but imagine in the real world, right? You're building like a SaaS app and you want to be able to offer customer support in the app. The Voiceflow web chat, you can actually pass in a custom variable or a user ID to know who the user is. So you don't even need to ask this question. This is just a really simple implementation. And then that means you can do actions in Zendesk and outside of Zendesk on the user's behalf. And we can just go and set variables with the user's information. So now we are using the agent step. Let's imagine I'm just going to ask a regular question. I'm going to say, hey, my account isn't working. I'm super duper angry, right? Well, this is our agent. It's an agent step. It's a billing agent. And it's going to be like, what's not working? It's going to kind of troubleshoot. I'm just like, oh, the password won't work, but it's right. Like, how dare you?
All caps.
Yeah, you know what people are like when you go and like talk. All right, it's understandable. Like, there's a couple of reasons. And our agent is, of course, going to help us debug. And this is just a silly little agent. There's nothing actually in our agent's knowledge base here. Okay, but it's going to say, hey, do you want to escalate? Yes, please escalate.
5 exclamation.
Yeah, so this is too much. I'm so angry. All right, I'm going to escalate. They're gonna go and help out. And then the user isn't satisfied. The agent cannot answer this question. So we're going to go down to this other agent step. And his agent step's only job is to go and create a ticket inside Zendesk and go and escalate to a human being. They're going to go and get back to us as soon as possible. Awesome. So that's super, super cool. That's super, super useful. And I will just prove that I'm not lying to you, but I actually did create a ticket. Here we go.
Sweet.
Don't know if that's the right one, but it's in here. There it is. Billing inquiry.
Yeah, that's a good example of creating also paths, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, oh, create a ticket. It's like, oh, like, let's try to pull in from a knowledge base, see if we can answer this first, and then escalate to a ticket once it really can't find an answer.
Yeah, but you can notice something a little bit different here. We didn't just pass in a summary. This is actually a transcript, which means our agent has a bunch, and our human agent has a bunch more context of what has been tried, what hasn't been tried yet.
Yes.
So let me show you how we got this in, because this is where tools really shine. Okay, so let's click into this agent step. Well, we have two tools. We have add ticket comment, and we have update ticket. Well, the way this agent actually works is as soon as the conversation begins, it creates a ticket.
Oh.
And this means we have a ticket ID in our agent's brain that it can keep updating. And then when we take an action like successfully solving a ticket or failing to solve a ticket, then we just go and update that original ticket. You could actually do it every conversational turn as well. This is just a silly little demo, but it's easier to see. So we are able to make sure we update the correct ticket and add comments to the correct ticket by using these variable input settings. So we pass in the ticket ID, which is set for our original agent step. And our comment, well, that's also a variable, is conversation. And that comment is generated here. What we do is we strip out anything that's just not a message from the user or an agent. So you can kind of see here, you can begin to build more complex things out. You have full control over what's getting passed in where, what variables are being set, what variables aren't being set. Really great example actually is in here. If you let users just create tickets, they are always going to set the subject to something like, this is the worst thing ever, over priority to like high or urgent, right? So you can actually lock this in here so we can't do that.
Yeah. That's great. It's also great because you can constantly update your tickets, and those that are logging in Zendesk will have the most context at all times. And also from the user side, you're not always just hopping in and having to redo all the context from the start too.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, what if we don't want to have to create like a Zendesk ticket for everything? You know, I don't think you need a person to go and extend someone's free trial. Like imagine your like customer support policy is, if you have a free trial and you ask once, we'll give you a free trial extension. We'll put you back up to 7 days. A lot of SaaS companies do this. It gives people more time. Well, that's when paths come in with the agent steps. We don't even need a ticket for this. And this is where agents get really interesting. Because what we can do is we can say, hey, here's a path. This path runs when a user has to extend their free trial. And when they do, well, we can do some validation. Remember, we know who the user is. We validated it when they joined. So we can check in Airtable, have they extended trial? And if they're eligible for a trial extension, then let's just go and update their record and give them a trial extension. And if not, let's not give them one. And we can use the message step to go and set messages. So you have a pesky legal team who are like, you must say exactly this. Well, you can do that. So let me try that. I'm going to go and for one final time, run this agent. All right, so I'm still me. I'm still Jacqueline. And by the way, you could literally say like, hey, I'm Jacqueline, my email's this. And it would still work. It's going to extract that email out. All right, I'm going to say I want to extend my trial. All right, it's going to process that request right away. It's now running through here, and it has successfully gone and processed my trial upgrade. All right, let's see if it actually did that. Here we go. Yeah. Has extended trial. True, that's our agent running in the background using my API key. Trial days remaining 7. All right, let's try one more time, just because I'm greedy. I want another trial extension. I want an infinite trial.
I want to test the demo gods.
All right, here we go. I want another trial extension. And it's still going to go and run through that path, and it's really super duper cool. But this time around, it's going to fail that check. Unfortunately, I am not eligible for a trial extension at this time.
You, Jacqueline?
Yeah. So I'll just prove it. We definitely didn't get extra for trial.
Yeah, imagine how much time this could save, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, basically all of your L1 support, pretty basic queries you could just have automated.
Yeah. This is a single example action, right? Like whatever the big queries, like I would recommend look at your SaaS support tickets, work it out. What is a thing that really is just an API call that you could automate?
Yeah.
And I think one final thing before we pass off to Nico and go into Q&A with the fun stuff is if we just kind of look at this agent, we have all the power of an LLM, an agentic kind of workflows, and it just happening behind the scenes. And we don't need to write every single message. No one wants to do that. But when we're doing something sensitive, like, we actually want to go and do a billing action, for example. Well, I personally probably not going to go and give, an LLM access to my entire billing records completely. No. So we can go into this more deterministic workflow. We can just, if you're a developer, you'll know this. You can just use variables and just check conditions and stuff that's a lot more solid. It's a little bit less, your agent might do anything. And that's where I think this kind of like merging the two really works. You've got that agent step, that like really agentic, really, really nice kind of conversational part. And then to do complicated actions, we'll just get out of it and just go straight into just effectively code, just it's on a canvas. So Kim, that's it.
Love that call out. Awesome. So before we head into the summit track portion, we will do a quick Q&A. So I already see there's one from Alexander, but if any other folks have questions, drop them in chat or use the Q&A tab. Sweet. So we'll start with Alexander's question. All right. So how can you show how to add a topic field, which is a custom field in your example during the ticket creation?
Yeah, great question. So as of right now, Voiceflow's tools don't natively support like any custom fields like that. We wanted to make it simple. We wanted to get it out as fast as we can. However, this is where stuff like the API step comes in really handy. Because as well as calling those native tools, if you want to go any a little bit custom like that, well, Zendesk has that API, which you'll know about. Instead of adding that Zendesk tool to your agent, just add the API tool and go and call it manually. And of course, we are looking into making it so you can go and not have to do that. You can go and add custom fields onto these tool calls. But I think that's the really nice thing, right? You know, if you do need to do something a little bit more bespoke, just use a function, write some custom code, or use an API call and just call that API call manually. You can still go and set those fields in the exact same way we just showed. So that's kind of what I would recommend.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Next question from JP. What does Zendesk plan do you need to leverage?
Great question. I'm fairly sure this works on the lowest tier. We're currently just on a free trial, like to test this. So yeah, I don't think there's any actual restrictions. Any Zendesk plan which includes API access, which I believe is all of them.
Yeah, awesome. And kind of along the same vein, for this to work, do I need a subscription to both Zendesk and Voiceflow, or do you have combined pricing?
Yeah, so the different companies, right?
Yeah, no combined pricing. You will need to have an account for both tools. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, cool. Looks like there's an incorporation live agent in the pipeline.
That's a good question, actually.
It's a good question. Yeah, let's pop that one. Let me just pop this one on stage here. Question from Kirian.
Oh, stuff behind the scenes is that. There we go.
There we go. Okay. Do we have plans to incorporate live agent in the pipeline?
Your Zendesk live agent can effectively look into a Voiceflow workflow. We haven't tested it in this demo, but basically, as long as behind the scenes stuff's working the same way, there should be no reason. And I believe they work the same way. I believe Zendesk live chats are effectively the same as tickets behind the scenes. So you can, on certain actions in Zendesk, run a webhook, for example. We're going to learn about this soon. And trigger some screening alerts happening in Voiceflow. So stay tuned for about 5 minutes and you'll learn all about this.
Love that. And then last question here is if and when do we have plans to launch integrating with a custom MCP server?
Well, we want to make sure we get it right first, right? There's no point as letting you integrate with like completely custom things when it doesn't make sense to. We want to make sure we can battle test it with like some actual managed like MCP integrations first.
Yeah, for sure.
That might change in the future.
Yeah.
But for now, let's make sure our agents work properly.
That's right. Yeah. And we are prioritizing tools like Zap and Make, so it can also give you that flexibility.
Yeah.
Sweet. Actually, one more question, which I thought was good from JP. Does VF support buttons with Zendesk, or is it all chat right now?
JP, just watch about 2 more minutes and you'll find out all about how you can do much more deep integrations.
Great segue. Okay, so let's move forward to Summit.
Awesome.
So building Tiko. I'll pass it over to Nico to intro us.
So we've seen that great presentation about how easy it is to integrate your Zendesk support stack within a Voiceflow agent. The idea here, for me at least, was why not using this for a part of Tiko as well? So if you don't know, we use Tiko in multiple channels. So we have Tiko in app, we have Tiko on a website, Discord, email as well. And I was thinking that maybe for this demo, talking about Tiko email will be a good fit. So what Voiceflow internal assistant, to give you some context, the project started as custom proof of concept, and again, the idea here is to test some stuff, share that with the product team, all the team, and ultimately, if we have a good fit for a very specific one, we try to add that in the tool, so you guys can add that back into your agent. So what we have today, Tiko email has been built for the agent integration. So what we used to have is what we've seen now. So the email, the Zendesk, and a webhook. So whenever a user send an email to Zendesk just trigger an event, and we can catch that using the webhook. But this means that we had to code a big part of that integration and rely on external third-party tools to inject prompt or do LLM part and stuff like that. And a small part was done on Voiceflow, actually, before sending back the reply to the to Zendesk and ultimately user email. Well, if you get it, basically today, we can reduce that to just the after part, which is, again, same thing. We still rely on Zendesk for the email in and the webhook. But now we can simply just use a Voiceflow agent, and that's it. So this is what I will show you today. And for this, so again, before custom code, multiple integrations, after, so what we're going to show you today, unified Voiceflow projects, simplify maintenance. So not only this, but also allowing multiple people from different teams to change stuff. Like we've seen Jacqueline saying, okay, the legal might have to update this very specific message regarding trial expansion, for example. Well, if you have everything in a Voiceflow project, that's way easier than just asking the dev to do that in the code or hard code that, or having that hosted on a DB, for example. So back to that Montaigne, to reach the Tiko summit, you might want to host part of your code different ways. So I will switch to the demo, but just to understand how this works, again, we talk about having Zendesk sending something to your agent, and for this you need a webhook. This is how it works. So the different choice you have is to use something like NAN or make, and this is just some of you guys already do this. This is just sending that event to your NAN or make event and do something in the flow and sending that back to your Voiceflow agent. Then you have the Midpoint, where it's basically doing the same thing, but instead hosting the code on serverless. So basically Cloudflare, for example, in what we are sharing today is the Cloudflare worker code. So instead of having to change stuff inside an app, you do this by code, which might please devs instead of because they can send that commit change and those will be reflected and updated. And ultimately,
control.
Yes, definitely. And ultimately, you will self-host that if you are an enterprise and you have your own infrastructure. Most likely, you want to host everything on your end. So that's the summit here. Kim, can we share the video? So just to show what we are going to talk about.
Sweet. Let's go into the demo. Love the music choice, Nico. Super hype.
Thank you. Yeah, it was to be fully transparent. We were thinking of doing a voiceover, but music is fine, and I will do the voiceover right now. I will explain all of this. But what you've seen in this video is basically two different use cases. The first one is whenever users send an email, we reply straight to that email using our Voiceflow agent. And the other one is, again, Jacqueline done a good job on explaining how easy it is to check what the profile or information, gather information about the users. So in our demo, we'll also check if the user is on a business or enterprise plan. And if that's the case, you might not want to use the agent to reply directly, but instead give, again, as we've seen, give context as a comment, private comment to the ticket for the team to review, and then use it or not to make a reply. So now we can go into the project itself. So what you will see is, this is what you will have. So the template we are sharing on our repo with, again, also the code for the Cloudflare, the flow for N8N, for example, so you can set up that on your end. Similar to Jack and demos, what we have here is we get information, we use an agent, and we reply to the user. So it's as simple as this. We can see that we are using kind of the same thing. We have a prompt here. We have the add TK comment and just a no answer and done, because we are also leveraging the base here. So we've populated the knowledge base with not this one, sorry, the one in the real one. So here we can see that we are populating the knowledge base with a bunch of documents from our .voiceflow.com. So it's easy for the agent to fetch the right information, generate an answer, and reply to the user email. So why do we have two agents here? Again, in the first template here, we're not actually getting user information. This is for the demo. We don't know what you are using. Are you using Airtable, your own DB, or whatever, or even fetching information from Zendesk directly? So the light demo is more like to share the prompt, see how we do the integration here, and mainly and mostly in that case, how you can gather information from the Zendesk webhook. So remember, we are not using the agent into a chat or over a phone call. So we have to pass an information, and to pass that information, it's by using whatever we got from Zendesk. And we are using a trigger for that. So if you're not aware of this, you are able to add triggers to your Voiceflow assistant now. And those trigger, so this is you're already used to be able to trigger a specific trigger with an intent, but you can also use an event for that. And why this is useful in our case, it's simply because in our code, we are going to use that event to send whatever information we got from Zendesk to our agent. So this is how we link Zendesk to our agent with that integration. So if we go to the code right here, we can see that this is the worker code. And the main part of this, apart from setting all the value for the integration with the Dialog Manager API, we have this endpoint, the webhook. This is what Zendesk will use. This is what we've set up in Zendesk to trigger the webhook. And from that, we will get a payload. So the payload will basically have all the information from the ticket. So user email, username, the description of the ticket, and ticket ID as well. And once we've got this, what we want to do is to pass everything back to the agent. And we are using the interact endpoint. So that's something, if you guys already deal with the Voiceflow DM API, you already know this. But the event will, in that case, be the event name of our trigger, which is answer email. You can see that here. So we are just, again, targeting this very specific trigger with, for the data, the event data. So this is what is coming from Zendesk, and a session ID. The session ID is just to link that interaction to a transcript, because we are also saving a transcript. So it's easier for you to follow that and do observability over your transcript if you save that in your agent, so in your assistant.
And really quickly, if anyone looking at this and is getting a bit confused, a webhook is just a thing that runs when a certain event happens, right? It's like in Zendesk, if someone creates a ticket, or like in Google Sheets when someone creates like a new row, for example. That's all a webhook is. And worker code is just means Cloudflare workers. It's wherever code is hosted. It means you have to go and spin up a full server effectively.
Yes. Thank you for adding this context. Sometimes I'll go too deep. So yeah, happy we're here. And that's such a good point that I will show you here to make more sense. This is Zendesk, and you want to create a webhook for that. So this is my endpoint. So this is where my code is running. The code I've just showed right there. This is running on Cloudflare. I want to use the Cloudflare endpoint to set up the webhook on Zendesk. Again, all this is documented on the repo, but as a quick introduction to this, the webhook need to trigger something on Zendesk. And in that case, that will be two trigger, one for a new ticket and one for user reply, because we will see in the demo, and as you've seen in the video, you can send an email, also reply to the agent response, and keep going in the conversation. So this is how it's set up on Zendesk. Webhook, a trigger or multiple triggers, in our case, new ticket or ticket has been updated with a comment from the user. So
you can kind of think it like a train station, right, Nico? There's like these two stops on Zendesk, and it's the new ticket stop and the reply stop. And then imagine it's like a subway. The subway will go join at those two stops. They'll join together at the next stop, and that is, of course, they go from that event and it triggers into the code that is hosted on the Cloudflare worker. And then that Cloudflare worker, that takes you to the next stop, which of course is the Voiceflow agent.
Yes, exactly. And maybe that will be also simpler to visualize that not in Cloudflare, but in N8N. So that's the webhook. Again, that's basically what Zendesk sent us. And then we have the Voiceflow API. So that what I was explaining in the code. We have the webhook endpoint. We have the interact endpoint. That's the Voiceflow DM API. And we have the transcript. You can see that here. We have the webhook, the Voiceflow API, and the Ceph transcript. So both of those solutions will work the same way. It's just this one is no code, and Cloudflare, you will need to code that. So if we go back here in that email demo, this is then in the agent once the trigger is triggered. So answer email, we are going to populate the variable with the data we just received. And again, because the payload from Zendesk had a bunch of information, we can populate the session ID that we are passing in your code, the ticket ID, some status, the email, username, subject, history. And question, which I use the ticket question here, but keep in mind that on Zendesk, this is the ticket lattice command. And yeah, so we pass that to our agent, and the agent will deal with this, fetch the knowledge base, generate a reply, and send it back to the user if they do have an answer. Otherwise, we will trigger the no answer pass and nothing will happen. The ticket will still be open on Zendesk for the team to look after. So this is, again, a light template for you guys to start working on, but I wanted to share how flexible Voiceflow is and how you can start more feature to your agent. Again, this is basically the story of Tiko. It's just starting from such a light thing and then adding stuff on top of it. And if we switch back to this one, and again, this is still using the same integration. So you don't have to rebuild the custom integration each time. You can even use A8N the same way we've just shared previously, because it doesn't matter anymore. It's just that's dispatcher or that's train station is just there to give you the info. Everything else is on your agent. So we're doing the exact same thing in the beginning. We're just fetching information or picking information from the event. For the demo, I'm actually filtering the email we want to focus on. And yeah, so that's why you have those different messages here. If the email is not mine, we'll ignore that. I'm actually dealing with the live version of Zendesk, so I don't want to go or to answer too much ticket for now, because this is something we've built this week. So
this is real Tiko. This is the actual Tiko which you talk to behind the scenes.
Yes, correct. So regarding the user information, you were using Airtable. We are using our own backend to fetch user information, which is pretty easy because we can use secret in the API step. We can populate all the information we need, and then we use a simple logic here to dispatch. Either it's an enterprise or business plan, or if this is another plan, we reply directly to the ticket. Enterprise or business, it's what we've seen before, is just sending a comment, so with some context, so the team can review this and use this to reply to the user. But we added a bunch of other things we were already using previously, which is memory. So in Voiceflow, you have access to the memory variable, but it's limited to a certain number of turns. What is interesting with support and with such agent is getting access to a long-term memory. In that case, we are using Mem0 to save all the important parts of a conversation, previous, current conversation, to basically start creating a profile of that user, which is pretty important because that can be part of the comments you are sharing with the team. And knowing that the same user does upgrade 2 months ago, but also has an issue with the API step that have been solved, but ultimately struggling with one specific tool or step in the agent, this will give not only for the agent a better way to generate a response, but also for the team to be aware of all that previous context to better answer the user. And you can see here, we are not using the knowledge base in that case, because actually we are using the knowledge base, but not directly in with this toggle, with this integrated feature to the agent. Instead, we are using a dedicated function for that, because we are also using re-ranking. So Again, it's just to show you how deep you can go with or how flexible it is. When someone asks about how can I deal with topic, for example, that's kind of the same example here. How can I use my KB, but also do re-ranking before getting those chunks shared with my agent to generate an answer? Well,
Yeah, but
this is how
you it right, Nico. Like, you don't have to do all of this. You can do it. It's like you hit that use case, you need to do it. And then you can add all of this cool stuff. But you can just get started just with the knowledge base toggle.
Yes, definitely. And you want to start with basically the light version. That's why we are sharing the light project today. It's sometimes you want to go too far too quick. Something to keep in mind is start light, but with great response. In that case, for example, you want your agent to provide great response. So for this, you need nice doc in your knowledge base. Because you don't want to just throw noise in there because obviously the response will not be great. So you want to focus on those different parts first, and then start gathering feedback from user using transcripts, for example, and check what next feature might be useful based on those transcripts, for example. So in that case, that's something I wanted to implement because that's something we've already tested in the previous version of Tiko email, and we know that it's working pretty well. So and it's totally doable in a Voiceflow agent now. So I'm using in the tool, I'm using a dedicated function for that, and what we're doing is relying on the KB query. Same thing. If you guys know the DM API, the KB query is part of the Voiceflow APIs that are available to do what you can do in the UI, but on the back end. So we make a query, we get some chunks, and then we use a re-ranking to order and filter the best result based on the user query. Meaning that from 8 chunks, and you can crank that up. You can go up to 10 here, for example, or even 30 if you use the API. That's one of the difference between the UI and the API for the KB query. But you don't want to push all this in your agent prompt. Instead, you want to go large, filter out using re-ranking, and then ultimately return only 4 best document. And then you use less token because you don't throw everything. And you are pretty sure that what you are sharing are the exact document you need to reply to the user. So yeah, that's what we are doing in that a bit more advanced part of the Tiko email. And we are, in that case, we're not relying on the integration to save the transcript. We're simply using this API step to make that happen. So because we are passing the station ID in the beginning, we can ultimately, at the end, choose to save everything. So we end up with, I think we have, yeah, that's one of the transcript here. By the way, this is the new transcript logs. Pretty cool. So you can go over here and it's less noisy. But yeah, you can see how it acts with all this integrated. So we have a report from a ticket from Zendesk. We check that the user plan, that the first part, so that was enterprise. In that case, we know that we are going to use the ticket comment, not replying to the ticket directly. And you can see that the agent starts reasoning about this. First, found some stuff about credits, but then go deeper and finding information about credit limits and purchasing, bidding information, search again, and now searching for plan information because part of the thing was not available. So you can see that the agent, all the step the agent take to generate and find the right chunks, ultimately to get perfect. Now we have complex information and we can provide this kind of answer. So,
all right, we're gonna have to kind of call it there, Nico, because we're about to run out of time. But I think that's like the really cool thing, right? Is that you can start super simple. You can build out just a web chat agent, hook into MCP in like a minute or two. You can go and like build with NAN or Airtable or something else entirely, right? And it takes minutes.
Yep.
Or you can do this. You can dive super, super deep. You can build something bespoke, something super custom. I think here at Voiceflow, as we're building more complex agents, we want to be able to have that reasoning layer and that full control. And I think this is a great example is like you can have that control, but if you don't need it, you don't need it. You don't have to set it up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on the scale of organization that you're working with and what we're looking at here. All right, cool. So why don't we show off some of the stats or the impact of Tiko? Wanted to actually invite Chidi up on stage, who is on our support team.
All right, here's a message from Chidi.
Sweet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chidi. I'm on the support team at Voiceflow. In my day-to-day tasks, I handle everything from billing issues to bugs like bug investigation, reproduction, and triaging it to the correct engineering team. And I also log customer feature requests. So for context, in 2022, the team implemented Tiko, originally to just dog food our own product, and it's been a super successful experiment for us. Right now, Tiko handles the majority of our L1 support tickets for all our free and pro plan users, and Tiko also helps to route tickets based on plan type, which is super helpful. From my experience, it's freed up a ton of time resolving easy FAQ questions, allowing me more time to work through complex L2 and L3 tickets from our customers, such as ones that, require us to reproduce a whole website and this has really helped free up time for our team to work through more complex L2 and L3 tickets from our customers. So things that require us to code, things that require us to reproduce very specific edge cases. And yeah, Tiko has really surprised me, though, with the type of complexity it can handle, even though it is handling L1 and L2 tickets. For example, the time Tiko successfully handled a very specific query about a Shopify store setup, even generating the right a custom JavaScript code snippet for the user. At the time, it would have taken me a whole afternoon to figure it out myself because I had no familiarity with Shopify. And in the past month, we've seen Tiko resolve over 300 tickets while we maintained an 80% customer satisfaction rate across the whole team. So it's been pretty impactful for your team. So yeah, I'm excited to see you build your own versions of Tiko and scale your customer support processes.
Sweet. Yeah, thank you, Chidi. Yeah, I mean, just to wrap it up, we've seen some tremendous impact of Tiko, 309 monthly tickets solved. Also seen a lot of faster first reply time and handling a lot more one-touch tickets. And as Chi mentioned, it's really been freeing up a lot of her time to focus on deeper issues with our larger customers.
So you want quick,
Yeah.
easy stuff,
Exactly.
solved quickly and easily by AI, and then you've got those customers, that enterprise customers, or we need a bit more help then.
Exactly. So
This time.
everything we share today, we'll have a template for if you are curious to build your own Tiko. But yeah, would love to use the rest of this time to dig into some of the Q&A from the audience. We've got a few great questions. I'm going to queue them up on stage here.
I love questions. And I can imagine this developer, like a really advanced developer, typing this big one for Nico. In fact, here it is, Nico. This one's for you.
Yeah, this is a hot question that I've seen quite a bit. So how did you integrate Tiko in Discord?
Well, it's kind of the same way we do with the Zendesk email. The difference here is we are not using webhook, we are using a Discord bot. Again, always think of this link you need. In that case, the link is a Discord bot that will send whatever user send on Discord to your Voiceflow agent, and the Voiceflow agent can then reply back to Discord. So that's yeah, and then we rely on the same knowledge base. So we have to maintain one big knowledge base. We add every time we have new content or even feedback from users, we add that to the KD.
Yeah, that's a really good tip because 1 KB across multiple agents means there's one place to manage, one place up to date, and a consistent user experience.
Yeah, context-rich agent. Great. Yeah. Next question is, I think this was specific to Nico with your build. I see a comment, Zendesk agent in VF has no answer exit path. Agent steps had no normal exit paths like in those listen box. When is the agent step triggering this path?
I see. Answer. Okay. So the no answer pass is trigger whenever, because we have that in the prompt as well as the pass itself, the description of the pass. It's whenever we don't have any correct answer from the KB. We don't want to send like a non-great answer to the user. So instead, because this is in that very specific use case, this is email. Not only you have time to reply, you don't have, it's not a chat. You can even, that's why you have that much reasoning happening versus a chat, or you want to go quicker. We don't need to reply. That's not mandatory. We do prefer not giving an answer because if we have a risk that this answer is not great or wrong, we do prefer not sharing this with the user. So in that case, we will use that no answer pass, and that's it. That's the end of the interaction with that agent, and the team will be able to see that ticket on Zendesk and reply.
Yeah, it's funny how what you're building for, whether it's voice, web chat, or now Zendesk or another ticketing platform, it's always slightly different. Those little ways, little agents.
It's very true. Sweet. Longer question here from Maximus. Yes.
Here we go. I'm creating a call center and have created an API call in order to receive an array from Mig.com in the appropriate format, but they're trying to use the speak block. It's, I think, message block. It shows the object. I've tried everything. All right. If you're seeing object, it means you are trying to send an object in a message step. And this is super duper easy to do by accident. I'm suspecting your Make.com automation is probably sending a big blob of JSON to your agent, and then you're trying to like send that entire JSON out to the world, which isn't going to work because it's like trying to like, instead of writing with a pen, it's like trying to write with like a potato. Like it just doesn't work that way. Try using a JavaScript step to extract out specific variables of your Make.com stuff, or there's a feature called variable pathing. If you Google Voiceflow variable pathing, if you're using an API to go and call it, you'll be able to actually just extract the specific variables you actually need using variable pathing. So you don't need the entire thing. That's a good quick way. But TLDR, you're almost certainly trying to send an object in a message. And if you Google JavaScript object, you can kind of see what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of comments in chat as well to recommend stringifying your JSON.
Get it stringified. And spoilers, we have debugging coming soon to try and make that a little bit easier to deal with, because trust me, I've been here before and I know what it's like.
Yeah, if you haven't already checked out, our debugging has also had a significant improvement. It's a lot cleaner now.
So. Oh yeah.
Cool.
And to add on this quickly, that's also the same thing you need. So stringify or using variable pathing. If you want to inject that in your prompt, otherwise you will get object. The same thing you will get in message, you will get that in prompt. So your agent will not knowing what you're talking about because you are passing it out. So stringify this, pass everything to the agent before.
Love it. Great. I like this question here because I think a lot of folks can relate to it. So I'm a no-code developer. As of now, I see to create mid or high complex agents, I need to use JavaScript. Do you have any recommendation on where I should start?
I want to start with a reassurance, actually. Knowing some JavaScript is really useful. And like what Nico kind of showed is that like really advanced step. You're building those really, really powerful production grade agents. But to build like really powerful complex agents, you don't need to do that. That's for like when you're scaling and you're building those like really bespoke, really custom experiences. So what I would recommend is like if you need to learn a bit of JavaScript, just play around and experiment. Like the basics of JavaScript, like variables and functions and arrays, you know, the very basic things. There's tools like Codecademy online you can go and learn it from. But honestly, just try build like a super simple calculator. Do it outside of Voiceflow. Like just make an HTML file and just build a little bit of JavaScript in there that does something like a calculator or something silly. And once you've built that, then the exact same core skills you've just learned, just open the JavaScript step on Voiceflow and you can use them there. It's the exact same skills. And then if you want to kind of keep leveling up, then try building a function. Find like a service that we don't have a function or a tool to go and connect directly to. Ideally one that has simple authentication with an API key, and just see if you can build a function for it. And if you get stuck, ChatGPT is really good at answering questions about this kind of thing. So just ask ChatGPT for a bit of help and just check the code before you run it. So that's what I would recommend. If you feel like you need to learn code just for this, though, and you just want to experiment, like Nico showed, like you can just use N8N or something, or make.com or Zapier to kind of get around needing to code everything. So if you're just trying to link two things together, it's a great way of doing it. Just going call like an N8N workflow or a make workflow, do some actions in there, and then come back. But I would highly recommend learning at least the basics of JavaScript as your learning agents. They're useful skills to have.
Love that. Yeah. And then ChatGPT, your best friend.
Yeah.
Codex, your best friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Nico's laughing because he knows how true it is. Like, I saw your AI code generation extensions installed in VS Code, Nico.
No, it's Cursor. So it's crying out loud. I'm vibe coding. Yeah, for sure. I was going to add this. Again, it's like the summit and all this. You have the base comp, and definitely knowing based off JavaScript is great. But as shared, you can use N8N, no JavaScript needed for that. But you can also use Cursor or any other tools to vibe code this. Basically, the worker for Cloudflare, this is something you can ask, and that will write those lines in like 5 minutes. So still need some JavaScript to at least understand what Cursor giving you, but yeah, you can definitely.
Very true. Like knowing the foundations and the basics. Sweet. All right. Last question before we wrap up here from Alexander. How do you quality control on those AI responses? Manually with another AI, or do you have validation in prompts?
So before Nico answers, because we have an answer here, like a correct answer in terms of how we do it, but we have an event coming up where we're going to talk about testing agents and quality control.
Yes.
So we're going to have an entire basic, like your summit, what's the word? Basecamp, Midpoint, and summit for all of this coming up in the next couple of weeks. So hang tight for that one. But Nico, how do we do it internally?
Basically relying, like in that case, relying on the transcript. We do observability on the transcript as well, analyzing like sentiment, for example, extracting main topics from one wing to another, and doing reports about like features and stuff. For the quality of the response from the bot itself, we have like more custom integration with LLMs to just be sure that the agent don't go too bad. The good thing is with the new model, with the reasoning, you don't even need that anymore, to be honest, because most of the time, if you're bulletproof your prompt, you will most likely get or no answer or at least a good answer. But yeah, it's still hallucinations still exist, but yeah, you can also do multiple tasks. That I think that's something Pete talked about in previous session in DevLabs. You can also do a double check. Use one agent, one model to answer, another one to check that this answer is correct.
Just wanted a quick call out. Try out the integration. As Jacqueline showed off today, it's very, very quick and easy to get started, especially if you're building this for your clients or internally. We also have a bunch of awesome resources from our developer documentation, which you're doing tons of God work improving. So if you have feedback, just check it out and let us know what you think, as well as a community on Discord, very active, tons of devs in there to help out, a GitHub repo with examples of past projects that Nico's built, and also our YouTube channel where you're going to get step-by-step tutorials to walk through pretty much all the questions that we've seen in chat today.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a DevLabs if this didn't run out midway through.
Yeah.
If you are checking docs as well, please thumbs up, thumbs down at the bottom of every single page. Leave a comment. It's really useful to know what needs cleaning up and what you find useful.
Sweet. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and see you next event.
See everyone. Nico, thanks so much for joining us as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.